Hey everyone, happy Friday. Welcome to another Friday Facebook Live. I hope everyone has had a great week and you're excited to do something fun this weekend. I have had another busy week, maybe a little less stressful this week, but still quite busy. Um, the weather was much more wintry this week than last week, which is unfortunate. I was really looking forward to spring. But looks like we have some nice weather here in New Hampshire this coming weekend and next week for spring, be in the 50s and 60s. Super excited about that. I had to do hopefully my last run outside in below freezing temperatures today. Hoping that I don't have to do that again for another year. We'll see if that comes true or not. But looking forward to some warmer weather, rest of the snow melting, and spring coming up. Um, but today I want to talk about something. I like to get a lot of inspiration from my Friday Facebook chats like this from things that I see posted on social media. There's a lot of uh, bad things about social media, but certainly people always reach out for help and ask questions and stuff like that. And it gives good content to talk about because I know lots of people struggle with the same problem. So I saw a post from someone online. They were um, kind of complaining about they had these crazy cravings the night before, and luckily they didn't give in to any of them. They wanted, all the yummy, hyper-palatable foods that people usually have when they have cravings, and they didn't give in to them. They used some other strategies. They had some water and some electrolytes and whatnot, and that kind of allowed them to make it through without caving into the cravings for them. But I think that cravings is something that everyone struggles with. I don't think that there's anyone immune from cravings. I think anyone that says that they never have a craving for anything is kind of maybe completely disconnected from their body because I feel like your body craves certain things at certain times, and that's how you know what to eat. Um, the problem is that for most of us, our diets are so dysregulated um, that our cravings are for things like the hyperpalatable foods. So, the things like the cakes, the candies, the cupcakes, the ice creams, the cookies, the chips, all that stuff, popcorn, these types of things, because that's things that we're used to eating. Those are the things we've taught our body provide a lot of calories and they taste pretty damn good to boot. And so when we get hungry and we want some food, those are the things that our mind automatically turns to because that's what we've told it that, hey, look, this is what I'm eating and there's a lot of calories in this and it tastes really good. And you should eat more of it because we don't know when the next famine is going to come. So when we have craving, that's where our brain usually sends us, unfortunately. Um, so, but a fascinating thing happens, which I have noticed from personal experience as well as I've heard anecdotally from other people as well, is that once you start cleaning up your diet and you start eating a more whole foods based, ancestral aligned diet that works for you, many of these cravings start to go away. And for me, the weird thing that starts to happen, it's not weird because it's actually natural. But the weird thing that starts to happen when you talk about this to someone else is that you start to crave other foods, whole foods. Um, so, like when I go out, when I back when traveling was a thing, when I would go away for like a week for work or something like that, and I'd kind of be outside my normal food environment, and I'm just kind of scrapping together whatever healthy food I can find. Uh, Most of the time is doesn't consist of a lot of vegetables. By the time I get home after a week of being away, I literally crave vegetables. Like my wife would be like, "Oh, you're coming home tomorrow night. What do you want for dinner?" I'd be like, "Please make me some vegetables," or like, "I want a big ass salad," or whatever. Um, I like to eat a lot of vegetables. It's a staple of my diet for me. So when I don't have them, I really kind of miss them and I start to crave them after a while. So, and lately The other thing I've noticed that I've started to crave, particularly over the past 2 or 3 years, is that when I go a long time without eating organ meats, I start to crave them. It's the weirdest thing ever. I never thought I would ever say that to anyone, but if I don't have liver or heart or tongue for a few weeks, all of a sudden I'm like, I could really, I really want to have some heart, or I really want to make some tongue tacos, or I really want to make some liver jerky. I'm really craving that, and I just listen to my body, and I go, because I always have some organ meats on hand downstairs in the freezer. Go take them out of the freezer, and I'm gonna make them. Um, Now, that's not to say that I don't crave other types of foods. Yeah, I indulge in big bowls of popcorn sometimes. When it's really a nice summery day outside, I love to have a an ice cream chocolate chip cookie sandwich. Like that is my jam right there. If I'm going to indulge in something, that's that. For breakfast, my every once in a while I'll crave banana bread French toast. Like that's what I like, right? Um, and I have these cravings too, like craving hyperpalatable foods, whether they're paleo, keto, carnivore. I don't really care. Is going to happen. And But they should be few and far between. If you're finding that you're having cravings for things outside of like whole foods, if you're having cravings for whole foods, just eat the whole food. That doesn't matter, right? I mean, who cares? Eat a whole bag of a whole piece of liver if you really want to, or a gigantic salad with a bunch of vegetables on. I don't really care. Those types of food cravings are fine. But if you're craving something super hyper palatable, it helps to start to kind of look at why you might be having that craving. If the craving happens for hyperpalatable foods quite infrequently, every couple of months you might crave some sweet thing or whatever, it's probably not that bad to go ahead and, you know, indulge in the craving, right? As long as you don't go insane, right? If you're not one of those people that's, has starts out with one thing and then it turns into a whole bunch of things and it's a week long binge, then it's probably best to try not to cave to the craving at all. But if you can manage that craving and have the cookie, the ice cream, the whatever, and that's it, and then you're done and you're fine for another few months, then there's probably very little harm in doing that. So you know what type of personality you have, first off, right? Where is the craving coming from? How often is it happening, and what kind of personality you have, right? If the craving's infrequent, you have the right personality, you can have the treat, the craving, satisfy the craving and be over it. Go ahead and do it. It happens every few months, no big deal. Now, if you're finding yourself having these cravings quite frequently, every day, multiple days a week, multiple weeks in a row, there's probably a reason for that, right? There's probably an underlying reason. I'm a huge believer in listening to your body and in listening to what your body's saying. And if your body is telling you, to dive face first into a giant chocolate cake, day after day after day after day, there's probably a reason for that. It's probably missing something. And probably the most frequent reason I see this happening is too long of caloric restriction. So when you go too long, restricting your calories, your body wins, right? It's going to start sending off alarm bells and being like, hey, you haven't eaten a lot of food in the past few months. I could really use some food right now. Where's the best, the most calorie dense thing I could possibly get? We've had this cake before. That's pretty calorically dense. It tastes super good. Let's go for that, right? And now you're dreaming about chocolate cake, right, or ice cream, or whatever, right? Whatever your craving is. So your body starts sending these signals to say, hey, I need some food. I need some calories. Let's do something here. And so in those cases, if you start noticing, oh, I had a craving yesterday, I had a craving a few days ago, I had a craving, 3 times this week, and the week before it was 4 times, and I'm starting to feel really like this is really irritating me. I double check on your caloric intake. Have you been dieting for an excessively long time at a super low caloric intake, or are you super active and like not eating enough for your activity level, and you're having all these cravings? Those are huge signs about why you might be having a craving, right? In that case, don't give into the craving, but just eat a lot more whole foods. Like start like eating more whole foods, up your calories a little bit, decrease your activity if you're super active. That's another way to approach it. And see, I bet you 9 times out of 10, that's going to alleviate the problem for that type of person. Um, the other thing, the other reason I think cravings can come about is lack of specific nutrients. So maybe you're kind of eating a nutrient poor diet. Maybe you're not eating a lot of vegetables. Maybe you're sticking to very lean meats. Maybe your fat is low. Your nutrient density is very low. You're not eating very nutrient dense foods, whether it's from vegetables or organ meats or wherever your favorite place is for getting nutrient dense stuff. And then your body sends signals like, hey, I'm low in these vitamins, blah blah blah. We need some more food here. We need to take in some, again, it's probably traditionally we get this stuff from food, so we turn to food to try and get the nutrients that we need. And when we're lacking in them, we want to eat food, and so our cravings kick in, and then we're craving certain things. And I think that's partially what might be driving some of my cravings for organ meats, because my body's now used to getting a lot of nutrients from organ meats. So when I don't have them for a while, that's what kind of triggers me, because maybe it's just sending me a signal that oh, you need some more B vitamins or copper or zinc or whatever, right? And that's where those might be coming from. Personally, I don't have any evidence to back that up, but I'm just guessing. But I think it's very common that when people kind of lack nutrient density in their diet, that they end up having cravings. So the more nutrient dense diet you can eat, whether those nutrients are coming from vegetables or they're coming from organ meats or a mixture of both, which is probably ideal for most people, that's probably a sure sign that another reason why you might be having cravings. And finally, I think another thing for cravings that can happen is you might just be lacking lifestyle factors, right? Sleep, stress, social connection, these types of things that we don't often associate with health outcomes can be quite impactful in the way our diet is reflected from day to day. So if you have a lot of crappy sleep, you're super stressed out, you haven't really been interacting with other people, then all of a sudden you're craving all kinds of crappy foods. And we've talked about how sleep and stress can dysregulate your appetite signals in various different blog posts and on these Facebook Lives before. So please go back and take a look for those. But certainly if you're super stressed, super tired, fatigued, you haven't been sleeping well, you haven't been interacting with other people, that those can cause you to it dysregulates your appetite, and you're going to start to crave something that's comforting. And what's comforting? Big bowls of ice cream, big bags of popcorn, alcohol, these types of things, right? So again, I completely raise my hand to say that when I'm super stressed, had a long week, my mind kind of turns to these types of foods. I want something that's comforting. I want something to relieve the stress, whether it might be a drink or some kind of comfort food that I really enjoy. That all pops up in my brain too. So as far as combating cravings, right? So my number one tip is look at your caloric intake. Are you eating enough? Have you been restricting calories for too long? Look at the nutrient density in your diet. Are you not really eating a very nutrient dense diet? Could you be lacking some specific minerals, micronutrients, etc., vitamins that are important? Could look at your sleep, your stress, your social connection. Have those been really bad lately or out of whack? Can you do anything to improve those? And correct those things first. And I guarantee that probably takes care of 90% of all your cravings ever. Or it's attributed to one of those things. And as far as like in the moment, how do I deal with cravings? For myself, I like the distraction technique. So if you can distract yourself with movement is a good one. I like movement. Walks are great for that. going to read a book. Meditation is another good one as a distraction technique, because if you're stressed and you're craving something, uh, you know, that can help. Um, Taking a nap, going to sleep. Like a lot of cravings happen late at night, and is it midnight and you've been up watching Netflix all night long, um, and you haven't been sleeping well? Go to bed. You won't be craving anything while you're sleeping. So naps, going to bed when you have a craving. Water intake is crucial. So I also like water and electrolytes. Adding something to your water is really good. That's a good trick to do too. My personal favorite is Element. So look up LMNT Recharge for electrolytes. They have super tasty flavors that can satisfy people. It also adds electrolytes, which you might be lacking, which is part of the reason why you could be craving something. Other tricks, so foods that you can eat. So my go-to food is protein. Right, you have a craving for something terrible, go eat a few hard-boiled eggs, eat a can of sardines, eat some jerky. They're going to be low calorie. They're going to be nutrient dense. Their protein's very filling and satiating. So try that. Try to stay away from high calorically dense foods, like you might want to turn to, like nuts or nut butters and stuff like that. I mean, if you can deal with a tablespoon, like literally 1 tablespoon of peanut butter without going overboard and satisfying yourself, fine. That's okay, but I find that most people can't do that. The spoon comes out and they dive into the peanut butter jar, and it's far more than a tablespoon, several hundred calories later, and they're still not satisfied. Oddly enough, super dark chocolate for me is a really good appetite suppressant or craving suppressant. Like if you can stand 100% dark chocolate, I guarantee you won't have a craving after you eat it. Maybe like 85% is probably better for most people. So try some dark chocolate. A couple squares of dark chocolate is pretty harmless, as long as it's super dark and not like a Hershey's chocolate bar or a Hershey Kiss or something like that. So those are some things to think about and try. Another weird one is pickles. Pickles can, you're hungry, grab a couple pickles. They kind of just get rid of the appetite. Craving goes away. Obviously, these aren't things that you normally turn to when you have a craving, so that's probably why it makes them go away. But yeah, that's some, if you really want to eat something, that's what I would turn to. And like I said, ultimately, if these cravings are happening every few months, and you really, hey, I want to have a cookie tonight, I want to have that ice cream sandwich, I want to have some banana bread every couple months, it's, again, not going to have a huge impact probably on your goals or anything like that. With that said, please leave me your comments below if you have other ideas for combating cravings or other things that maybe I didn't answer about cravings. Please ask questions below. Let me know what you might be struggling with when it comes to cravings. Happy to help. You can obviously direct message me too with more questions on the topic. If you want to get all of this content directly delivered to your inbox, without having to keep an eye out for it on social media, please go to my website, rjbhealth.coach. Click the newsletter link at the top and sign up for my newsletter. Just give me your email address, and you can get everything delivered right to your inbox without having to, keep an eye out on social media. And if you're interested in any coaching, I'm actually full with clients right now. I could not take another client if I had to. But certainly, if you are interested and you want to express that interest and you're willing to wait, please go to my website, fill out the form. There's a link at the top to set up a discovery call. Do that, and I can keep you on the waiting list for that too. So I started a waiting list for that. And with that said, I hope everyone has a good weekend, and I will talk to everyone next week.